Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah, another video in my series of free themed flower pot SVGs to make with a Cricut or other type of digital cutting machine. Today's project is this absolutely adorable little teddy bear, perfect for welcoming new babies into the world with a lovely paper craft. I've put mine in a simple shadow box frame, but you could perhaps add extra details such as the date of birth, the baby's weight, their name, things like that, to make a truly memorable keepsake that will be treasured for many, many years to come. The design is fully customizable in your cutting machine software, so if you don't want to make it in these colors, you can choose whatever you want. For example, you could go full-on pink or blue or yellow or orange or green or anything you like, but I've chosen pink with a little bit of purple to change the colors up depending on the type of design that you want to make. It's completely up to you. This is a greetings card design. It's 5 by 7 inches, and I took some of the flowers from along the flower pot and added some extras into the corners to bring everything together. So whichever colour scheme you're making, or whether you're doing it big to go in a frame or small to go on a card, the first thing you're going to need is the free SVG. Here's how to find it. You can find the free files to make this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs. Or click the link in the description of this video to go to the tutorial where you can download straight from that page. You'll need to register a free account on my website in order to download any of the designs. The download comes in a zip folder. Before you can get the files into your cutting machine software, you'll need to unzip that folder. Visit craftwithsarah.com/help for instructions on how to do that, as well as a wide range of other tutorials on how to use your Cricut, Silhouette, or Scan and Cut machine. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, then press Upload over on the left, and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer, or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the file folder, and within there you'll see subfolders with numbers down the side. If you're using a Cricut, it's really easy, you just need the 01 Cricut version folder. If you're using a Silhouette or a Scan and Cut, head to craftwithsarah.com/help, choose your type of machine from the screen, and then there are separate tutorials and videos in there on which files to use for your particular type of machine. I'm going to go into the 01 Cricut version folder, and there's one file in there that starts SVG-01 in the file name. Click and drag that in, and this is what it looks like. Press continue, and then you don't need to change anything on this page, just press upload. Then it will insert the design onto your project. You can close out this window by pressing the arrow halfway down the page. This loads in at 6 inches tall, which is a great size to cut it out, but you can resize it if you want to. To do that, make sure the padlock icon above the width and the height box is closed. If yours is open, then click it to close it. Then you can type either the width or the height, press enter on your keyboard, and the other measurement changes in proportion. These flower pot designs have been specifically made so that they can cut at a small size. Therefore, you can probably go down to around, I would say, 3.5 inches tall, and it should still cut out absolutely beautifully. This design does come ready to cut, but if you want to, you can recolor the layers. Click the design and press the ungroup button at the top of the layers panel. That will separate out all the pieces for you. To change the colours, click on a layer you want to change, and then go into the colour box down here, and then you can choose from these colours. To see even more colours, click the Advanced button, and then that will let you click and drag in here to get a wider range of colours. For example, we could do a baby pink instead of blue. And then I could click the next one, and then choose that same pink, and then drag it a bit darker. You can do this for each layer one at a time, or you can change all of one colour in one go. For instance, if I wanted to make all of this blue match my new darker pink, I can do that easily. Click Colour Sync at the top of the Layers panel, and that changes it to separate everything out by colour. You can use the arrows to close things up so that you can see all your relevant colours. I've got my new dark pink here, and here's the blue. I could click and drag with my mouse, then let go when it's over the pink, and everything changes in one go. And then I could just keep going through all of the different layers until I'm happy with the effect. Here's how my teddy bear flower pot looks, recolored to be pretty in pink, and a little bit of purple as well. I've also added some rectangles to the background so that I can make a greetings card blank. For instructions on how to do that, head to craftwithsarah.com/help. There are video instructions on there for Cricut, Scan and Cut, and Silhouette. I also duplicated some of the flower layers to add some extra flowers to the corners to fill in the space. To duplicate a layer, first ungroup if you haven't already done that, and then you can click on the ones that you want to copy and press the duplicate button up here. So I just did that with a few of the different ones and then changed around the colours and the sizes to build up a pretty little collection of flowers for that top corner, and then just added one to the bottom. This is how the design could look on a greetings card, but how about how it looks in a shadow box? I've gone back to the original colours, which is how I'm going to get mine cut out, and then I've added some squares to the background so that I can build up some layers inside the frame. Again, instructions on how to do this are at craftwithsarah.com/help, including how to measure your frame and how to get your layered design size so it will be the perfect fit every single time. When you're ready to cut your design, press Make over on the top right of the screen, and then that will separate out all the different colours. This is great for using up your scraps because there's quite a few colours in there, but you only need a little bit of each one. You can click and drag to move things about to take up less space on your cardstock. Just make sure that nothing overlaps, otherwise it won't cut out properly. You can also change the paper size in here, and you will need to do that for every single colour. So go ahead, get all your sheets looking exactly as you want them to, then press continue to connect to your Cricut and follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut from your cardstock. Here are all of the pieces of my new baby flower pot cut out and laid one on top of the other, following the assembly guide that's included in your download folder. I like to lie everything in position first to check that I'm happy with how all the colours are looking before I start sticking, and to make sure I haven't lost any of the little pieces along the way. Be sticking this together with a combination of glue and foam squares. The glue I'm using is Barely Art Glue, but I also like Halal. The reason I like these two glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. To add dimension, we'll use some foam squares. Mine are from Dot & Dab, but any will do. If yours are big, you might need to cut them smaller with scissors to fit into the pieces of cardstock. As with all my layered designs, we're going to start at the bottom and then work upwards. So I need to move apart my very carefully positioned layers, but I'm going to try and keep them sort of vaguely in position so I don't lose all of that hard work. So I take it off in little chunks like that so that it's still roughly in the right order. I'm then left with the very bottom two pieces, which are these ones of the balloon, and these will be glued together. I'll turn that one upside down and add the glue to the back. This will line up exactly on the top of that lighter piece. The nice thing about glue is you can wiggle it about a bit if it's not quite in position. There we go. Next up is this piece, which again will be glued on. This is going to make up the body of the teddy bear. Next, we're moving on to foam squares with this slightly darker brown. This will make up his arms. Try and get your foam squares in all the sticky out pieces, like these flowers over on the side, and also where all the bits of grass and other sticky out bits are going. And then build up a good amount around all the edges. Once you've gone around all the edges, then put some foam squares into this big middle section too. If you don't put anything in the middle, the cardstock is likely to bow downwards because there's nothing in the middle to support it, especially when we put all the other pieces of cardstock on the top. So adding a few extra foam squares prevents that from happening. It means you'll have nice, flat layers and it will look much better. Once you've added on all the pieces of foam, then it's time to peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. Now this is nice and sticky, I can line it up and put it down. Get those edges lined up as close as you can, and then gently lie the piece down without putting any pressure on it yet. That means it hasn't stuck yet, it's just gently laid on there, so if you weren't happy with the positioning, you could pick it up and move it and not damage anything. But that's looking good to me, so I'm going to push down to stick. Next, add your green piece, and this will be glued on. Don't worry that mine's missing its bottom bit. I didn't quite have enough of this piece of green cardstock because I was using my scraps, but I figured it's not going to matter because this is all going to be covered up by those flower pot bits later on. Next, you can either start building the flower pot or do the teddy bear's head. I'm going to do his head next. So next up, we've got this darker bit, which will go on with foam squares. Next up is the lighter brown with the gaps for the ears, which will be glued on. Then we've got the whites of his eyes, again will be glued. You may wish to refer to the picture on the assembly guide of the finished teddy or look at your screen in Design Space to see where to put this. It goes sort of down towards the bottom of the head rather than directly in the middle. Then we've got the piece for the black parts of the eyes. Again, this will be glued on. Ooh, that's textured on one side. I had that round the wrong way. Then we've got the lighter piece for his muzzle, is that what you would call it? I'm not sure. The front of his face anyway. And this one will be done with foam squares. Then finally his nose, and I'm going to glue straight onto here rather than try and get it on the back of that tiny little piece. And his nose goes a little bit towards the top of this section rather than in the middle. Put my dot there. Let's lift that up so you can see better. So you see it's kind of up towards the top. And then put his little nose on there. Very cute. I have smudged my glue out, but it will dry clear, so I won't notice. There he is. Okay, now for the flower pot. We'll start with the biggest piece down here, which will be glued on. Then the piece with the stars cut out, also to glue. Then this piece, also for gluing. Next up, we've got the rim of the flower pot, and this one will be done with foam squares. That's this piece here. Try and get some foam into the little bottom bits of the ribbon so that it stands up with the same level as anything else. You might need to cut your foam squares smaller to get them to fit. Just make sure none of the foam squares go outside of the piece of cardstock or over any of the gaps, otherwise you'll be able to see it, which we don't want. I'm going to go down my foam squares with some scissors. See, they cut really easy. And then put some bits. Oh, I've just stuck two bits together. It's easy to cut them. It's much harder to actually pick them up when they're that small. I'll just go one in there and one in there. So there we go. A few of those in there. Can line that up using the tops of the flowers and also the kind of ribbon bits. And then we've got the ribbon on top to be glued. And now all of the flowers. Do this one first. This is 3 separate pieces. And the bottom one, the biggest one, will be glued, foam squared on. This is definitely one of the more complex of the flower pot designs. There's lots of bits in this one, but it ends up so pretty. It's definitely worth it. All right, next up, foam squares again. And then glue for the circle in the middle. It doesn't matter which way round you do any of these flowers, so if you're looking at the assembly guide and it's going in a different way to what I'm doing, it doesn't matter because they're all being built up separately anyway. Okay, the ones at the top, these ones here, we'll start. I had a little bit of problem with my cardstock there when I was taking it off the mat, but again, sort of figured it doesn't matter because it'll be covered up. Didn't want to have to cut it again. So glue on that one. Oops, just moved it. And also glue the one on top. Then foam squares on the next bit. Actually, I think just one. There we go. And then put on the solid layer. One of these petals is quite a bit thinner than all the others, this one here. So you can use that and that will go on that top petal there to know which direction to put it. And then glue the last bit on. Moving down to the bottom, got foam squares for the bottom one on the left. Got some fluff from my jumper caught in there. There we go. And then glue the next one on. And for the middle one, I'm going to go foam squares first. Then glue. Then foam square. And then glue. Then over on the right hand side, once again, we'll foam square first. Because I'm left-handed, I probably should have worked from right to left so that I'm not moving it with my hand. Let's try and do this right-handed. No, it's too hard. And then glue for the next bit. Then foam. And finally, glue. And there we have it. New baby teddy bear flower pot all finished. There's lots of dimension in this, especially in these flowers along the front. He's super cute and he looks really, really lovely. So I'm going to go ahead and get this framed up and then we'll take a look at it completely finished and also the matching greetings card version. And here's the teddy bear all framed up. Sometimes it's really nice to have a super simple plain background to the frame to really bring the attention onto the design. And I'm really happy with how that turned out with those baby blue colours too. But if you're not looking for a blue teddy, how about pink overload? I really like how this one turned out as well. I think I prefer this one just because pinks and purples is definitely my type of colour scheme. I used to have a bedroom growing up that was pretty much this exact pink on all the walls. So here it is with all of the layers in there, and then those extra bits I put in the corners to bring in some flowers. And on this one, because I didn't want to get it too thick to post, I've only used 2 layers of foam squares in total. So I've got foam squares, actually, no, I've only used 1 lot of foam squares. I thought it was 2, but from turning it around, I can see it's just 1. So the only bits I've got foam squares underneath are the bottom layer of all of these flowers. Everything else is glued together. And then I've also got 1 lot of foam squares under the very bottom bit up there and there to bring them out too. It is still quite thick in places because there are so many layers in the flower pot and stuff. But this should still post on a regular postage stamp in the UK without needing a large letter stamp. And if we put them next to each other, you can see how teeny tiny this one is compared to this one. I hope you've enjoyed crafting along with me today to make this new baby flower pot design. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and free SVGs. If you have any ideas for future themed flower pots, drop me a comment. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!